الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي ولا رسول بعده سيدنا وحبيبنا وحبيب الله محمد ابن عبد الله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. My respected brothers and sisters, may Allah's peace, His guidance, His mercy, His protection and His forgiveness be with you and with all your loved ones in this life and the next stage of life and the final when we will be taken out of our graves and brought in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment. Ameen, inshallah, ameen, thumma ameen, ya Rabbal Alameen. Today, inshallah, we will continue the topic of significance of Ramadan. This will be the third lecture about the significance of Ramadan. And then we will start this program, inshallah, from Surah Al-A'raf, which is the 7th chapter of Quran, ayah number 24, where Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ba'da a'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim, وَإِذَا قُرِيَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنْصِتُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. So when this Quran is recited, means studied, talked about, including, listen to it and be silent and pay attention. وَأَنْصِتُوا, pay attention to it so you may receive mercy of Allah. The glorious Quran, my respected brothers and sisters, you know better than I do, that is a book of guidance. And when Quran is being recited, talked about or studied, we are ordered to attentively listen to it so we may learn something, and as after effect of that would be, the result of that would be that Allah would have mercy upon us. Imagine a student in a school who either doesn't pay attention to the subject matter or even after given repeated warnings continues to do something whatever he likes during the instructions are being given to him. Such a student, needless to say, would never pass the exam or get better marks in his tests, better grades in his test. Today, inshallah, we will come to ayah we will talk about significance of Ramadan, third lecture in that series, and we will use ayah number 185 for that. So first, inshallah, the recitation of the ayah, then the translation, and then the tafsir, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصم ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة ولتكبروا الله على ما هداكم لعلكم تشكرون. صدق الله العظيم. The translation of this ayah, my respected brothers and sisters, the month of Ramadan in which the Quran was revealed, a guidance for mankind, the humankind, all men, women, and clear proof of the guidance and the criterion. We will come down what is clear proof of guidance and what is criterion. So whoever witnesses the beginning of this month must fast the entire month, and whoever is ill or on a journey, he should fast the equal number of days from another month after Ramadan. Allah intends ease for you, and He does not want hardship for you. He wants you to complete the number of days. If you miss something, you must complete it after Ramadan. And that you must glorify Allah for guidance, for guiding you, so that you may become grateful to Him. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. The tafsir of this ayah, my respected brothers and sisters, we are going to take portions first of this ayah. And the first among that is the Shahru Ramadan-3 unzila fihi al-Qur'an hudan lin-nasi wa bayyinatin min al-huda wal-furqan. That month of Ramadan in which Quran was revealed, a guidance for mankind and clear proofs of guidance and the criterion. My respected brothers and sisters, the earlier ayat, this is ayah number 185. We are going back in Quran, though we are at ayah number 286, 256. But because of Ramadan, we are going back to the ayat where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has explicitly talked about Ramadan and the reason of fasting. So, in the ayah before that, ayah number 183, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, He mentioned Siyam, which is the plural of the month song, but He did not mention Ramadan in it. He mentioned fasting, did not mention the month of fasting. So that was, at that time, there was option, and because at that time the Jews and Christians used to fast the other days, some other days also, and Muslims Muslim was told to do that. So they were fasting the different days. Or if those who choose not to fast, they were told to feed a poor person for every fast, three meals per day you miss, if you choose not to fast. But then the ayah came, and this was about 2 years after the migration of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from Makkah to Medina, but it was also before the Battle of Badr. In ayah number 284, which we discussed, 184, which we discussed last week, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent it just a little bit different, a little bit more concerted, ruling about that. And it says the fasting is for a number of days. Fasting is ayyamam madudat. That fasting is for the number of days, but it still did not mention the date. And then at the end of the ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِن تَصُومُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. That if you fast, it is good for you. In kuntum ta'lamun, if you know it, that you will fast because it is good for you. Then we talked about the medical benefits of fasting according to the latest medical research in various parts of the world. This ayah prescribed fasting the entire month of Ramadan. And made it obligatory. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصم منكم الشهر. The word shahr means month. Shuhur would be the plural of the singular word month. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that the glorious Quran was being revealed. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. That the Quran was made. It is the greatest significance of month of Ramadan is this, not because it is ninth month of lunar calendar, but it is that in the last 10 days of this month, last 5 odd days or last 10 days of the month, in last 5 odd days of last 10 days of that month of Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed Quran on Muhammad al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Angel Jibreel brought the first wahi to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and asked him to repeat it. And and every month, every Ramadan, the other significance of month of Ramadan is that whatever wahi, whatever revelations were sent down to Muhammad al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam throughout the year, during month of Ramadan, Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam used to come to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and used to ask him to repeat what has been sent thus far. By that far, how many ayat were sent and how much Quran has been revealed, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to recite it to Jibreel alayhi salam. And if there was any kind of astaghfirullah, na'udhu something missing, so Jibreel Amin used to tell him that this is it. That's the authenticity of Quran from the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Qur'an in his Tafsir said the Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, Noah, was the first person who fasted during the month of Ramadan. And when did he do that? When he started doing it, when he was told to prepare, to leave his area. So he embarked, and when he was making the preparation and making the ark, he started fasting. And then when he disembarked, he started fasting for himself and his people, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for saving their lives while the rest of the world was destroyed. The rest of the world were destroyed at the time of Nuh alayhi salam. And he thanked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, continued to thank during the month of Ramadan for continuous guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The fasting of Ramadan is one of the most fundamental acts of worship and obedience. It nourishes our faith. It trains us to refrain from temptation. You are standing in the kitchen and you are thirsty and you are by the refrigerator. You are giving water to somebody who is not fasting, your child, your parents, those who are not feeling well, and you are thirsty too, but you are rejecting the temptation of what your body is asking for. Ramadan teaches us that we should reject all other temptations. Temptation by eyes, temptation by our ear, temptation to say something bad and ugly to somebody. You are angry, you want to say something. So it is reminded to you. In the hadith it said that Allahumma inni sa'im. Tell when you are about to say something or about to do something which you should not do in the whole in life, the other 11 months, the entire year, you shouldn't do, then you should remind yourself, Allahumma inni sa'im. Oh Allah, I am fasting. So you are reminding continuously to yourself that you are refusing the temptation. And with the lesson of Ramadan is that we take that training course, the refresher course of Ramadan, we take that to the other 11 months. This is a month because when Allah said that even halal is haram, that you can't take from this time to this time. You can't eat, you cannot drink. Okay? Unless your life is threatened. At that time you can break the fast. Unless if your life is threatened, you can break the fast. So what about other 11 months which Allah told us and prohibited us from something and we continue to do it? Ramadan teaches us that Allah's halal becomes haram because Allah said it. So Allah's haram is definitely haram in other 11 months and rest of our life. So we should avoid it. Arabic word, we talked about it, and that shahr means month, and shuhur would be the plural of month. In chapter At-Tawbah, ayah number 36, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about it. This is in Quran. It says, Inna iddata shuhuri indallahi ithna ashara shahran fi kitabillah. That in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the total number of months in 1 year are 12 months. So calendar was not invented by somebody. It is mentioned in Quran 1441 years ago. And of course, because Ramadan, the Shahr of Ramadan, the fast in Shahr of Ramadan was also for Jews and Christians. So their books, we are very similar to the teachings of the Gospel and the teaching of the Torah. We don't even read our own book. How we would know what the Torah said or what the Gospel tells us? We are cousins. We are close to each other. We should not follow the bad of even our real brother. Forget about a brother in humanity from among the Jews and Christians. We shouldn't follow if they are doing something bad, because we are not supposed to follow. If my real brother is doing something wrong, I'm not supposed to follow that. The name Ramadan is derived from the Arabic word Ramad. Ramad means heat, and Ramada means Ramad means burning, and Ramada means the intense heat. So it is called Ramadan as the intensity of hunger and thirst make your sins fall as something which is burnt falls down to ground. It takes your sins off. That's why it is called Ramadan. In chapter Ad-Dukhan, Dukhan means the mountains, the smoke, and which is 44th chapter of Quran, in ayah number 1 to ayah number 3, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Hameen, by this clear book, indeed we sent down this Quran in a blessed night, the night full of blessing. Indeed, we were to warn the mankind, the humankind, of what they are supposed to do and what they are going to face. In the next example from Quran is Surah Al-Qadr, which is 97th Surah of Quran, chapter of Quran, and ayah number 1. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and indeed, undoubtedly, we have sent down this Quran in the blessed night of decree and power. Qadr, decree and power. On the Laylatul Qadr, what happened when Quran was sent down? And it is said that before that, all other books were sent during Ramadan, month of Ramadan. That's another significance of Ramadan. The first wahi, the first revelation which came to the other messengers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose the month of Ramadan to send it to them. There are significance of other months also, like in Muharram. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about it, that there are these months when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that the number of months in a year to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are 12 months. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said 4 of them are sacred. 4 months are sacred. Okay? The month of Muharram, the month of Dhul Qa'dah, and month of Dhul Hijjah, and month of Ramadan. 4 months are sacred to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What happened on Laylatul Qadr in case of Quran, that Allah the Almighty ordered to send the Quran, which was kept in the depository of the preserved tablet, which is called Lawh al-Mahfuz. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the Quran, the entire Quran was with Allah, and He sent it down from that depository, which is located on the 7th heaven. This is a very famous hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if somebody wants to challenge it, that I don't have the cure for his sickness. They can challenge anything they want. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger said is truth. You believe it, good for you. Don't believe it, you only hurt yourself. And there will be a day when we will all find out what is right and what is wrong, what we have been accepting and what we have been denying, defying. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent from the depository, the main depository, Lawh al-Mahfuz, this book which is in the highest heaven. All at once, the entire book was sent to Bayt al-Mamur, which is another depository of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's, the knowledge and all that, and how He wants to run the heaven and earth. That is on the last heaven, the first heaven, the first heaven, and the Lawh al-Mahfuz is in the 7th heaven. From Bayt al-Mamur, as and when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to guide the Ummah Muhammad, our Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam himself first, because he was the first person to receive the first revelation. Nobody else received it. So to him and all his followers until the day of judgment, all must follow what Quran says for their own benefit. For their own benefit. They have a freedom of choice to deny whatever they want to deny, because they will be shown what is the truth. The life is not that you just kick the bucket and done and nobody is going to ask you a question. That is sheer stupidity of a mind that think that on day of judgment Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not ask anything about what we used to do. It will be questioned. Then it is up to Him whether He will forgive us, with His mercy and benevolence, or He decides to do whatever He decides to do. But we look towards Him that He will forgive us. That Allah will forgive us despite our all bad deeds and all that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive us and will guide us in this life and put us among people, those who keep us on the right path. Whether they are our parents, or they are our siblings, or they are our relatives, or friends in a school or university or at work, or people we know from somewhere, have some kind of connection. This Quran, the word Quran itself in Arabic, majority of the Muslims, if you ask, what is the meaning of the word Quran? Majority of us don't know. Quran means something which is recited. Quran means something which is recited. Why do you recite something? You want to learn something from it, right? You want to follow something, follow the guidelines which you are getting from it, to refrain from something which is prohibited or follow something which is beneficial. So Quran means, the word Quran means recited, it's something that is recited. There are many other names of Quran which this portion of the ayah talks about. And the other names of Quran, in this ayah it says Huda. Huda means guidance. Then it's called Bayyinatin min al-Huda. That it is the clear proof of all the guidance which are there. Nobody can dispute that if you are following orders of Allah, or you are refraining from defying orders of Allah, you will see the effects of it. If you follow it, you will benefit from it. You don't follow it, you are going to get hurt. And people around you, because of your actions, you may hurt somebody else also. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls it Bayyinatin min al-Huda wal Furqan. Furqan. Furqan means the criterion, a criteria of something. You go to doctor and you say, why are you here? I have a pain. That there is a criteria. No, I'm here just because I wanted to be here. That's not a criteria. Criteria to see the doctor is that you are not feeling well and unhealthy, and you wanted to check an opinion from your doctor. Furqan means something that is undoubtedly. Furqan is something which is undoubtedly differentiates between right and wrong, and also differentiate between truth and falsehood. Between truth and falsehood. That's why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, my respected brothers and sisters, and you already know this. That's why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, and this one hadith can change our life if we understand it. And it says, "O people, this Quran will be used either against you or for you, in favor of you or against you." That should be enough for a believer, that I would not defy anything which Quran says. In chapter Al-Isra, which is 17th chapter, ayah number 9, describes the purpose of Quran. Almighty Allah says, what is the purpose of Quran? Almighty Allah says that this Quran guides. Inna hadha al-Qur'ana yahdi lillati hiya aqwam wa yubashshir al-mu'minina alladhina يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا كبيرا. أن لهم أجرا كبيرا. Verily, this Quran guides towards the most just and the right path, and gives good news to the believers who do the righteous deeds, that they shall have a great reward. What is the great reward, my respected brothers and sisters? The greatest reward which a person can expect and look forward and spend his life for is receiving the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the greatest reward. If you got فَمَنْ زُحْزِهَا عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةَ فَقَدْ فَازَ. The one who is saved from the fire and being sent towards the Jannah, he is the one who won everything. That is the reward of Allah, the forgiveness of Allah, and His bounties that He decides to reward us after forgiving us. That is the greatest reward. وَيُبَشِّرِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ الَّذِينَ يَعْمَلُونَ الصَّالِحَاتِ أَنَّ لَهُمْ أَجْرًا كَبِيرًا. The glorious Quran makes its legislations clear. There is nothing unambiguous, nothing ambiguous. These are all unambiguous things. There are things which you have to do a little bit more research and in detail and try to understand it. Those you can call unambiguous, okay? Those you call ambiguous ayat, but there are some which are unambiguous ayat, as Allah is one. And Allah appointed, Allah sent all these messengers and prophets, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent all these books of guidance. There is no choice in that we must believe on Allah, on His books, on His angels, on all His books. We can't say that I only believe on Quran, or I only believe on the book which was sent to Jesus, or I only believe on the book which was sent to Moses. No, we must believe on all books, we must believe on all messengers, and we must believe on Day of Judgment. and we must not differentiate between the messengers and prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should not say that this messenger is better than that. You are a follower. Allah is the one who decides who is better than who. And we need to stop playing God. The fundamental attribute of Quran is that it guides those who come to it. It's not going to guide if I just buy it and put it on the shelf and just take a picture in front of it that I have so many books in my house, or in my library, or I'm such a great scholar that I'm just, all the time you would see thousands of pictures that people are sitting there with 2,000 books behind them. It does not make you a scholar by having books. It makes you a scholar. It corrects you, your personal life and behavior and character and everything. If you read those books and you understand those books, starting from Quran, if you understand Quran, not only memorizing Quran, understanding Quran and following Quran and implementing Quran on yourself and your families first, before you go out and call somebody else, well, that woman is bad because she's doing this, or that man is bad because he doesn't do this. That's not the right attitude. And the glorious Quran also makes its legislations clear and easy for those who seek guidance. Tafsir as-Siddi said, and clarification, and difficult for those who deny it, or who refuse to follow it, or those who seek to argue about the ayat of Quran. Quran would never guide it. It is in our own benefit that we believe on it. If you want to argue about it, to learn something, then know your limits. Know your limits. Who are you and whose book is this? And do not offend, because you will be offended big time. The next portion of the ayah is فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ وَمَنْ كَانَ مَرِيدًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرَ. That Allah has made fasting obligatory in this ayah. This ayah came 1 year after Battle of Badr, Ghazwat Badr. This ayah came. 183 came, and then after that 185 made the whole month, fasting of whole month obligatory on all believers. Then the beginning of the month of Ramadan is upon sighting of new moon, of the new month which ends the 8th month. 8th month is month of Shaban of lunar calendar. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ, is the command to fast upon sighting of the moon of the whole month. The moon is for the whole month, from one month to the other, from 8 to 9 month, from 9th month to 10th month, from Muharram, from Shaban to Ramadan, from Ramadan to Shawwal. So it says that this ayah makes fasting an obligation upon all living, adult and cognizant Muslims. Cognizant Muslim can be a very questionable thing, because a lot of them, those who are arguing about Quran, they are not cognizant about Quran. So they can argue as much as they want. The sighting of the crescent of Ramadan is supposed to be confirmed by the testimony of 2 witnesses that they have seen. But if you are unable to see, it is raining, it's cloudy, you are at a place where you can't see, and not everybody have to go and run and see the moon. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said start fasting by seeing the moon of that month, and break your fast means celebrating your Eid. Start celebrating your Eid, ending the month by seeing the moon. But if it is cloudy and you can't see the moon by yourself or by some credible source, trustworthy source, then you calculate it for the 30 days of Ramadan, 30 days of fasting. And just to remind myself and all of us together that there are no 31 days in lunar calendar. So there cannot be a 28th day of Ramadan, that somebody saw the moon and say on 28th the Ramadan you were on 28th day of Ramadan, and somebody went out and saw a moon, saw the crescent. Okay, when he sees the crescent of the new month, it only means that we started Ramadan 1 day late, and we have already entered the month of Shawwal. So tomorrow is going to be Eid. So we have to calculate and then finish the days. If it is cloudy, the moon is not sighted, the 8th month of Shaban shall complete 30 days. That's the beginning. And also that is at the end of Ramadan. If the moon cannot be sighted, if it is cloudy out there, so we complete the 30 days of Shaban, okay, before starting the fasting of Ramadan, and then we complete 30 days of Ramadan, okay. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيدًا, means that if anyone among you is ill. Al-Qur'an said that most scholars agree that when someone's illness is painful and harmful, and a doctor's opinion, a professional's opinion says that if that person, man or woman, regardless of the age, if they fast, it can make their disease or ailment worse, and they may suffer more, then they can break the fast or not start the fast. It could be if a person was good at the time of suhoor, he or she started the fast, but after, later on, few hours later, something happens and they started getting sick. So it is not that, oh, I'm not going to break my fast. No, your life is worthy, more worthy than a human life, is more worthy than. There is a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that when he was circling around Kaaba in Mecca, and he stopped at the door of Kaaba and he pointed towards the Kaaba and he said that, "O Kaaba, O Allah's house, you are so magnificent. Your smell is so good, your fragrance is so good, and so many you are so revered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for generations. But remember," it says that, remember that in the name of Allah who controls the life and destiny of Muhammad in his hand, that the sanctity of human life is far greater than the sanctity of house of God. There are certain conditions for traveling. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talk about, when he says the aw ala safarin, means that when you are traveling, means the fundamental condition is that the travel, as we spoke in detail last week, the travel must be for the permissible reason allowed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we studied last week. For traveling, or for traveling for recreations, vacations, sightseeing, attending parties, marriages, visiting relatives back home, or any other celebration, the person must observe fast. The number of days would be, then it says, the same number of days be made up in the other days. فَإِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخْرَى. The scholar says that it means that whoever among you is ill or on a journey should break the fast and then make up in the other days. Al-Bukhari reported that Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam traveled to Makkah from Medina during Ramadan and fasted until he reached a place called Al-Qadid. And when Al-Qadid was about 48 miles from Medina. In Arabic measurements and Persian measurements of the time, and they still use it, for every 3 miles is 1 farsakh. 1 farsakh. So 16 farsakh, if a person has traveled on the horseback or camelback for 48 miles, he will be pretty much fatigued. If you have that much fatigue in your travel, then you can break the fast. If you don't, then you are continuing to fast. Then he broke the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he reached at 48 miles from Medina al-Munawwara. At that time, he broke his fast. If the condition of travel meet and the travel breaks his fast or stop fasting because of the fatigue of travel, he must, upon completion of his travel, he must fast. It is not that you can just feed somebody and then it is equal to, and you are allowed not to fast. But that fasting after Ramadan must be done as soon as possible after Ramadan. One day of Eid, the first day of Eid, fasting on the day of Eid is haram in Islam. Nobody should fast on the day of Eid. So you can see that a day before that you were fasting. The Eid day came, Allah said, now you celebrate. So when Allah said you celebrate, you don't hurt yourself, don't stay hungry and thirsty, enjoy. And then you can continue to fast for the siyam which you have missed. Allah intends, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala further said, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ, that Allah intends ease for you and He does not want hardship for you. I'm using the translation from Dr. Muhammad Khan of Medina Islamic University. And it's a good translation, and then wherever I see something, I change the word, make it a little bit better to understand by people. So the Arabic word are used here, yusr and usr. Yusr means ease and usr means difficulty. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, we want to create the ease for you, we don't want difficulty for you. If you have a genuine reason, everything is like that. It is logical. If you have a genuine reason, you can give up the fast. But you will fast later, according to this ayah. But ayah before that, fasting was a choice in ayah number 183. Sayyidina Mujahid and Sayyidina Dahak said that the word yusr means ease refers to not fasting on a qualified journey. And the word usr, difficulty of fasting while a person is either sick or he is traveling. The general meaning of the portion of the ayah is also applied in general to all matters of the deen. All matters. If you can't bow down in ruku, then sit on the chair. But don't give up the prayer. You would see, there are people, regardless of the age, that's sitting on the chair and praying. Because they cannot do the prostration, cannot do the bowing down. So they are told that you can sit and pray. If you can't sit and pray, lay down and pray. If you can't lay down and raise your hands and do, with your hand motions and all that, then don't. Sprain your heart laying down. But it's not that you just give up something, because I have my exams, I have my tests, and I need to study, and then so I'm not going to pray or I'm not going to fast. But when you find out that he or she has exams, but he also has his cell phone next to him on computer, and he's just been chatting to different people, but he gives up Ramadan in a heartbeat. Give up fasting in a heartbeat. As in chapter Hajj, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَهُوَ اشْتَبَاكُمْ وَمَا جَعَلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ مِنْ حَرَجٍ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has chosen you. He has chosen you to follow and convey His message by your practices. Not just don't practice, but go out and talk. Or don't deal with people with justice. Or don't be a person of good manner and behavior and character and continue to call yourself un-Muslim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made things easier for us. And He did not put us in any kind of hardship. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in one of the authentic hadith has said, ad-deenu yusr. The deen is ease. Make things easy for people and do not make it difficult for them. Do not make things difficult for them. Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, At-Tirmidhi, Musnad Imam Ahmad, Al-Nasai, Sunan Abu Dawood, and others have reported many ahadith such as that during the month of Ramadan on a journey when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was fasting, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was on the journey, a companion who was fasting, he fell, off the horse. He was fasting and he was fatigued, so he fell off the horse. So when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked what happened to the companion, told him he was fasting. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not like it. That when he was traveling and he has been given this 48-mile range, fatigue equal to, it's not that you traveling 48 miles in a BMW and then you give up your fast. No, you are on a horseback, on a camel ride, and you have the fatigue of going 16 farsakh, which is almost exactly as 48 miles. And if you get that kind of fatigue, after you finish 48 miles, then you break your fast. Not that you don't do suhoor because you are going to go 50 miles. No, you go that 48-mile distance have the equal fatigue of a 48 miles on a horseback and camelback, 16 farsakh. Then you can break your fast. During the Ghazwa, one of the holy battles, almost all the holy battles, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ordered his companions not to fast, because not fasting gave people a strength to fight the enemy. Muslims never went and attacked somebody. They only defended. And only up to the limit of the aggression. Not that the enemy stop aggression and you continue to pursue and go and continue to destroy them. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anh said that 2 military expeditions took place in the month of Ramadan. 2 military expeditions took place during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam during the month of Ramadan. Number 1 was Battle of Badr, and number 2 was Fath Makkah, that conquest of Makkah. When Makkah was open to Muslims, he went back from Medina and he entered Makkah. These two were during the month of Ramadan. On both occasions, companions abstained from fasting. Those who were in physical fight, they didn't have drones at that time. Now somebody is flying a drone and don't fast because he is fighting using this hadith. No. Use logic and wisdom in the light of that hadith. That if you get fatigued and you get tired, you can't fight. But flying drone, nobody gets tired. On the occasion, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told his companions not to fast. In other traditions, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reported to have said that people should not fast when they had drawn close to the enemy. You are fasting. You did not travel 48 miles on horse or camelback, and you are fasting. Now, but you came to, it was less than 48 miles, and so you cannot stop fasting. But now you are coming to the enemy to hand fight. At that time you can, before that, when you see the war is almost getting ready to start, you can break your fast and fight, because that would lead to a greater strength and the victory, inshallah. All those matters were decided based on the same criteria of what causes the fatigue of 48 hours on foot or on horseback or on camelback. 48 miles. When we find that some people among us are not fasting, there are situations that you would find somebody is not fasting. We should not ridicule them. Give them the benefit of the doubt that they may be sick and are advised not to fast by doctors for some reason. Women are permitted to skip fasting when they could not pray. There are times when they couldn't pray, they have to stop fasting also. And they don't have to make up those fasts of those days. However, those who do not fast must also not mock those people, those who are fasting. They should not openly eat in public. They should respect the limitations of Ramadan and keep satr, means keep their cover, that they are not fasting. Go someplace where nobody is watching. It's between you and Allah, and if you have a valid reason, you can eat. This portion of the ayah indicates that those who do not fast during the month of Ramadan due to some valid reason should fast in other days. According to this ayah, whatever reason you left the fast, other than a woman who cannot pray those days during Ramadan, then she does not have to make up those fasts. Other than that, for men, all those days which they have missed, they have to fast after Ramadan if their illness, their sickness, their disease gets better and they are able to fast. If not, then whenever they are able to fast. If not, then they should give fidyatu ta'am al-miskin. The logic behind this is the Almighty Allah wants to establish a nation gradually. That's why those 3 ayat came in, first 183, then 184, then 185. And the logic was that Allah the Almighty wanted to establish a nation gradually, not just send some order and say you must stop doing what you are doing. After 600 years, they were between Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, Jesus the son of Virgin Mary. After him, the all religious practices were corrupted. So for the corruption of 500 and some years, when Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gradually corrected people. That's why there were different ayat on the same topic. The majority of the scholars say the calculate means complete the number of days. I gave you the example of 28 days, that somebody saw, went out, finished the iftar, came out of the masjid or came out of the house and saw a crescent. Well, how am I seeing this crescent? Today is only 28th of Ramadan. And the lunar calendar have 29 days or 30 days. So when you see 28 days of Ramadan, means you started fasting one day late. So you have to make up for that fast. If the moon is sighted after iftar of 20th Ramadan, means people made a mistake. We talked about it. Imam Malik said if the ruler does not fast by sighting the moon or does not break it by sighting the moon and fasts and break by calculation only, then you should not follow or imitate him. Somebody should have seen the moon, not the entire population of a country or a city would go out and start seeing the crescent. No, it's practically impossible. So if you get the news from some credible source, then you should follow the moon sighting and start Ramadan or end Ramadan. Otherwise, if it is وَإِنْ غُمِّيَتَ عَلَيْكُمْ فَكَمِّلُوا الشَّهْرَ, that if there is cloudy, then you should finish the number of days. It means to fast for 30 days and then celebrate Eid. Al-Qur'an and others related. We have about 14 minutes, and we are coming to the end of, inshallah. Al-Qur'an related, and many other scholars like As-Suddi and Sayyidina Al-Dahhak rahmatullah alayh, and Imam Shafi and Imam Abu Hanifa, related from Akrama and Al-Qasim and As-Salim rahmatullah alayh, that when someone reports about the sighting of the moon in another country, that such and such country is celebrating Eid, if it is near you, you can follow it. But if it is far away from you, then their celebration, because of the position of the moon on the horizon, it could be different. So you don't have to follow in America that Saudi Arabia is celebrating, or Pakistan is celebrating, or Afghanistan is celebrating. Some of our Muslim countries, they do whatever the heck they want, absolutely clueless, and we always, every year, unfortunately, we have a dispute about Ramadan and about when to celebrate Eid, when to start and when to end Ramadan. It's unfortunate. But Sharia gives you those specifics about it, that what to do in those situations. Majority of the scholars agree that the testimony of two eyewitnesses who are truthful and not liars. Well, maybe nowadays it will be very hard among us to find two credible people, those who are not liars. So then there are other methods we started using. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, وَلِتُكْمِلُوا الْإِدَّةَ وَلِتُكَبِّرُوا اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا هَدَاكُمْ وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. Next week's ayah would be very interesting, inshallah. That will be the fourth in the series of this topic of significance of Ramadan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, when He wants you to complete the number of days, and that you must glorify Allah at the moon sighting, that Ramadan has ended and you are going to celebrate tomorrow. This is the celebration for having guided you, for Allah having guided you, so that you may be grateful to Him. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلِتُكْمِلُوا الْإِدَّةَ, the wording of Arabic wording is so specific and so clear that it is an order to complete the number of days of Ramadan. And there are two interpretations of this order. It refers to the number of days of fasting Ramadan, whether 29 days or 30 days, depending upon sighting or not sighting of the crescent of the next month, which is month of Shawwal, and first of Shawwal, we celebrate Eid. Number two reason is that if someone breaks the fast on a journey or due to illness, must complete the number of fasting of the days he missed after celebrating the Eid, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us, وَلِتُكْمِلُوا الْإِدَّةَ, but he also told us وَلِتُكَبِّرُ اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا هَدَاكُمْ. Abu Umar rahmatullah alayhi said that do not pay attention to the sighting in a distant land, means a distant country. Each distant land, each distant country should sight its own moon except for the areas which are neighboring your larger cities. Al-Qur'an and other scholars of repute like Sayyidina As-Suddi rahmatullah alayh and Sayyidina Ibn Jarir al-Tabari and Sayyidina Al-Qurtubi said that the statement of Ibn Abbas that is what the Prophet ﷺ commanded us to do is clear evidence that when the lands are far from each other, as Syria is far from, for example, as Syria is far from Hijaz, the people of each land must start, and each city or each country in some cases, must start or end the month of their own sighting. Like I said, it is not that Saudi Arabia is celebrating, so we should celebrate here in America or in Europe. It is a far distant area. And they should have their own sighting of moon, and we should have our own sighting of moon. Even if they were under one rule, means under one government, if there are several countries under one government, but they are distant from each other, then the ruling of individual sighting of in different lands, in different countries would apply, not because they are under one leader or one king or president or prime ministers or whatever. They are supposed to have their own moon sighting if the land or the countries or cities are distant from each other. Means وَلِتُكَبِّرُ means that glorify Allah for rewarding us a day of celebration, of returning to daily routine of eating and drinking what is halal, of what He has made halal for us in other months. So that is what وَلِتُكَبِّرُ, that you are glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because He has removed the restrictions of halal thing and made it haram for you from this time to this time during the month of Ramadan. That He has regularized it. You have come back to that permissibility of those things in all hours around the clock, 24 hours. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas said it is a duty for the Muslims when they see the new moon of Shawwal to start saying takbirat. Means after Salat al-Maghrib, you would get the news that moon has been sighted, the crescent has been sighted for next month, for month of Shawwal, and tomorrow is Eid. Then you should start takbirat. The wording of takbirat, inshallah, we will discuss. Imam Shafi, it is 2:23. We have about 7-8 minutes. Imam Shafi, rahmatullah alayhi, says that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'een, used to say takbirat on the night of Eid and praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is reported from Sayyidina Jabir ibn Abdullah radiyallahu anh that the takbirat include shahada, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh, and glorification of Allah. Some people usually say that Allahu Akbar kabira, walhamdulillahi kathira, wa subhanallahi bukratan wa asila. What it means is Allah is the greatest. All praises belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and glory to be Allah from morning to evening, and again from evening to morning. Bukratan wa asila. That's what it means. Al-Qurtubi says, in the last part of the ayah where Almighty Allah says, وَلِتُكَبِّرُ اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا هَدَاكُمْ وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ, for guiding you so that you may be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is mentioned that because of the people before us altered their fast, instead of fasting the days when they were told, they reduce or increase the number of fasting. We can't do that. We have to follow as we have been told and as Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has practiced. And because we cannot replace the correct practice with the wrong practice for our convenience or even for our defiance. Somebody want to defy Allah and say, I want to change it this way. No, I'm going to be 15 minutes late. in breaking the fast, or I'm going to be early in starting the fast. You cannot do that. There is a certain time which you have to follow. Instead of Almighty Allah revived the genuine practices in this deen, practices of learning in this month of how to live our lives. What is the purpose of Ramadan? It is to show us by practice that how to live our life in other 11 months. That's the purpose of Ramadan. It's not to stay hungry and thirsty. It's not that you saw, oh, mashallah, now I've lost 17 pounds. That was not the purpose of Ramadan, that you go to Jenny Craig. This is not about South Beach diet. It's not Jenny Craig. It is not Slim Fast. It is something which Allah has given you as a benefit for the reminder of you to refrain from prohibited things of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in other 11 months by prohibiting the permissible things for 30 days from dawn to dusk, to prepare you and give you. There are several medical benefits, and we talked about it. And so when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ, means so that you may be grateful. The best way of expressing gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's bounty and benevolence is to prepare oneself to meet the criteria. To meet the criteria He established and follow it to the best of our capability. That is the purpose of Ramadan. The Quran teaches us also, shows us how to attain Allah's pleasure. Quran teaches us that we must read it. We must read it and we must ponder upon it. أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. Why don't you ponder upon the ayat of this Quran? Have you placed locks on your heart? Yes, there are some, those who have. وَأَيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. That we must read, we ponder upon Quran, we understand Quran, and we implement its legislations, means its prohibitions, and its permissibility, its allowances on ourselves and our near and dear one, before we start telling somebody else that how wrong they are. Fasting is an excellent way to prepare ourselves, exemplifying the message of Quran and message we just learned, and the refresher course we are going through with our good behavior and conduct and words come out of our mouth and our deeds. We must change. Ramadan should change. But if we go back to our routine, my respected brothers and sisters, if we go back to our routine which was before Ramadan, then we did not fast. We just remained hungry and thirsty. And that is the truth, and it has to be said. If somebody doesn't like it, well, tough luck. What can I do? This is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. That if somebody does not deny the temptation and he is fasting and other 11 months, and he keeps falling into temptation, then it is for him that he or she just stayed hungry and thirsty, and nothing was accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing. It's better for that kind of person is not to, fake it. Just go eat. If we cannot watch the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we are fasting and learn a lesson and continue those habits in other 11 months in Ramadan, after Ramadan, then why are we hurting ourselves? Go eat, go drink, go do whatever we want to do. We are allowed to do it. Or learn the lesson and watch the limits and change your behavior, change your character, make your deeds from worse to bad and from bad to good. Gradual change. That's why it is the first 10 days are for this, the next 10 days are for this, and the third 10 days are for this. It's to make it from worst to bad to best. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said that, and the question is that how comes, we have 1 minute left. So how comes we attend the most beneficial training course of our life? Every year we go through this training course which can alter your behavior, your character, your deeds, and make your path to the paradise and the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So easy and so good that you can achieve forgiveness of Allah. Once every 12 months, every 11 months, Allah is putting you through this beneficial training course of Ramadan, but we do not apply this refreshed knowledge and attitude and behavior and conduct and deeds we learn in this month, and we don't apply it in next 11 months until we see next Ramadan. Regardless of somebody's age, whether you are 12 years old or 112 years old, nobody knows if this Ramadan is your last Ramadan. It could be that this is your last Ramadan. You may never get an opportunity. People may die, people may get sick. We'll never be able to fast again. So let's not waste these 13, 14 last days of Ramadan in masiyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in defiance and denial of Allah and His bounties upon us, and learn from the lesson of Ramadan. أقول قولي هذا واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. We'll make dua inshallah, and I request all of the brothers and sisters to please invite people to this program. It is posted on my Facebook timeline. You can watch it anytime. You don't have to be at my house where I'm conducting this program from. But you can watch it on my Facebook timeline. Watch it a week later, 10 days later. But watch it. And then share it with others. Benefit, because share this knowledge of Quran with others, and you will get equal and inshallah more reward than the one who is speaking in this program. Inshallah, I wish that you enter. I wish that all of you enter Jannah. And I wish that you pray that may Allah save me from Jahannam, from the hellfire, inshallah. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب القبر وقنا عذاب الحشر وقنا عذاب جهنم وادخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار برحمتك يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين. اللهم ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. والفاتحة. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatuhu wa barakatuh. Thank you very much.